Hello, everyone, and welcome to VALORANT Challengers North America Stage 1. Starting off great, but hey, we gotta start somewhere, right? We have such a great split ahead of us. I cannot wait to get started as hopeful teams, hopeful players are going to be proving they have what it takes to potentially be that next team called up to the big leagues. My name is Sierra Dawn. I'll be your host this week, and joining me on the desk, we have two of our very best here. We have Uber and we have Wyatt. I'm so excited to get into today's matches. I'm so excited, honestly, Wyatt, to be getting started with Challengers. I've long awaited. It's going to be a great split.
Yeah, the teams this year look sick. A lot of upcoming teams, but also the teams that we're seeing returning, the two that we're going to see at the beginning of the day that were just shy of actually qualifying, making it to the partnership last year. Both are looking sick. Cores have stuck together. So a lot of top competition.
I'm loving that, especially like the stability we've seen in what is a pretty long off season for a lot of the teams competing in the Challenger circuit, them coming back, right? You have all your household names, your turtle troops of the world, right? Together we are terrific, have that roster together. We've just recently seen TSM form up for Challengers as well. So a lot of new faces and a lot of the old guard that you expect to see from North America, of course, all on the line for a crack at Ascension later on.
It is really exciting because even if a couple of the team names aren't quite familiar, if you were following Challengers last year, there's definitely a lot of players that you'll then be like, oh, wait a second, I know them. And of course, some of these teams, some of these rosters that we get to see try and continue on that story that they start building upon last year, Wyatt. Of course, we had teams like M80 that were step in step with the guard to try and be that team moved up. They fell just a little bit short, but they're one of the teams back here to try and prove this time around is their go.
The guard proved a formula that several of these teams have now taken into this year, which is the commitment to staying together as a team, despite individual players having opportunities to actually move up to the partnership league had they taken them. And with M80, with Moist Shopify, with Oxygen, you're seeing players refusing those opportunities, taking a chance, staying together to actually ascend as a team together, like the guard proved you absolutely can do.
I mean, we heard from Valen about that, I think, in some like recent interview content, saying like, we missed out. We were so close on so many opportunities to sort of play on different teams and, you know, maybe even have a chance to be part of the VCT sort of off the rip. But despite that disappointment, we just kept going. We knew we could sort of make it. So I would like to see, I mean, that attitude, and we are seeing it emulated a little bit here in North America. I think that's kind of what makes this exciting. Like, Together We Are Terrific have been revived from the dead. That was the original team name of that roster that Mummy put together before they were even picked up by Envy to start that entire sort of, dominance era in North America, back when Victor was called Food. So it's fun to see some of these old names come up. Obviously, it wouldn't be Challengers without the Glazers in the mix. Gold mate Zachary, they're still making it happen. So again, a lot of teams with a lot of promise here. We are going to be looking at players in this region that are easily like at the top of their field in America. Some of them just aren't old enough to play in VCT, and some of them are and deserve that recognition, just quite haven't got there yet. So expect some really high quality stuff over this season.
Some high quality storylines coming out of this for sure when you're looking at all of the teams. Of course, some of the teams you mentioned, we won't quite get to see them today. Peeping at our schedule, we will get a couple of exciting other teams to be kind of checking out first here. I think most notably, we are starting with the match. Looking at two of the top teams coming out of Challengers last year, of course, with new looks. And of course, we have 3 exciting days of Challengers up ahead for you. So make sure to be tuning into all your matches, follow your favorite teams. And if you need a little refresher on what matches to catch out where, you can of course look at the Knights Arena Twitter. I'm also keeping an eye, honestly, with that new signing of the TSM. The TSM versus M80. Why it's also going to be amazing.
Yeah, that's going to be a sick game tomorrow. It's only right that it starts with Oxygen, Moist, Shopify. These teams have played each other 5 times in the off-season. It's just been a back and forth for anyone that's been interested in watching any of the NA tournaments outside of the VCT circuit. And we've got them, again, 2 of the teams that everybody would put in their top 3 heading into this season, without a doubt. Arguably, a lot of people would say that Oxygen are the favorites to take this season if, we're just making our early prediction.
I mean, what do we have in the offseason? We had like the Sentinels Invitational. We had, for those who dare, we had the Sean Gares Invitational, I think, as well. And of course, the Ludwig versus Tarek Invitational. So, you know, we talk about this a fair bit, like the teams that maybe play less in the offseason, some of them forming up just for this sort of tournament. But yeah, again, our first two teams in this matchup, I feel like it's a bit of a tier 2 El Clasico between Oxygen and MXS. And it's always close. It is always close. These guys understand each other quite well, so the map veto is always interesting and worth looking at here. But every time they played, it's been a 1-2. Most of the time, though, Oxygen have had that edge. So MXS, obviously, with some changes most recently, have a lot to prove, I think.
Well, let's pull up the roster and start talking about a couple of the looks for this team, because one definitely has a couple of changes heading into the season, and one not really the most changed when you're looking at the roster, which I think is really, really exciting when you're looking at these teams, because there can be a lot of shuffle in this tier 2. So seeing a team like Oxygen that, for the most part, Wyatt, has been sticking together with a brand new pickup here, I'd love to see them continue on that base they were building last year.
Bringing in Dapper was a great move. Obviously, mega experienced player, has won an international trophy. Bringing that to a team of mostly young guys. Mitch, a very experienced player in his own right, but obviously you're looking at Redux and Verno. These are two young players that partnership teams are chomping at the bit to be able to pick up in a year or two when they're actually eligible to play. Both have been fantastic last year and in the offseason. And the story for Moist Shopify is Odor is coming in to replace Thief. This is the first time they're going to be debuting with him, and that was an unexpected move for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks around that. You know, Odorous hasn't played an official since early last year. Obviously, he goes way, way, way back in Valorant, right? Had a stint on Dignitas on version 1. They played in the LCQ on that roster. He was on Anbox, and you know, prior to this, he was on the coaching staff. It's actually the opposite change to what Oxygen had. Rustin moved back to the coaching role to let Dapper in. Odorous moved in from that assistant coach role here to cover, obviously, the departure of Thief, which I think you can probably agree, Wyatt, that's some big shoes to fill on this team.
Yeah, absolutely. It would make sense, or more sense as well, looking at it from the outside, if Odorous were coming into IGL as he's previously done, but Flya, from all accounts, is retaining the IGL role, so he's coming in just to replace Thief, who, at least, again, from the eye test, from watching from the outside, he's been sick mechanically for years, always has been, and that's, you know, not where you're looking at the strongest points of Odorous to come in and be on that level as Thief. So it's raised eyebrows, a lot of question marks for viewers of Challengers throughout the offseason. And you know, again, this is their debut. Last we saw them was at Ludwig Tarek, where they did take a series off of Oxygen, and, you know, they lost the grand finals, but still, it's just, is this the move? We'll find out. They have a lot to prove.
They do. They really, really do. There's a lot of question marks when we're looking at that team, but I want to go back to a couple of the known quantities here, which is Oxygen Esports, and especially looking at these younger players that they have in Redox and Verno, because looking at Oxygen Esports, they had some standout moments last year, and they actually did such a good run here in the playoffs to Uber, falling a little bit short. We had such powerhouse teams, but this team definitely built out with some powerhouse players.
Absolutely. I mean, Redux is so oppressive. This is actually a great map for Redux, and a good example of just how annoying he is to deal with. He'll take mid, he'll take audacious peaks, and even when he's forced off by utility, he'll still come back, find a frag, and be able to get out. You know, combine that with, you know, Verno, who's like extremely strong anchor player, individually completely cracked. On maps who's playing Killjoy, you still see him towards the top of the scoreboard. So really, really impactful combo. And when you have someone like Dapper that has that experience to help bring this team together a little bit more, it's a frightening, a frightening prospect to be sure.
Yeah.
100%. I'm curious, Wyatt, how Dapper's going to be slotting in, because we got to see him last year in Challengers in Tier 2, but now what about into this new roster?
He's shown over the offseason that he's fit in very well. He's just picked up the Sentinel role, as he has essentially always done in his career, bar a few moments where he's flexed about. But he's, again, brought in the stability of someone who has played at the highest level for as long as he has. And truly, I think from that, departing from that era of Sentinels, you know, with that roster being the top roster in, at a time, the world, at a time, NA, he's a player that I think has retained a ton of skill. He didn't really at any point for me fall off. It just never really found a home that made sense for him. I think even on G2, when they were struggling, when they were doing okay last year, he was still a bright spot on that team. And it seems like this is the first time he's actually found something of a home post that Sentinels era in early Valorant, where he can prove that he still has it, because he very much does so.
I mean, Dapper I don't think necessarily has to prove that he still has it, but when we're looking at this Moist Shopify roster, we have to go back to talking about Odorous, and Meta tweeted it, so I know this one's a little bit of a joke, a little bit of a meme, but I mean, Odorous did actually have his time competing as well, so I'm excited to see then going from competing to coaching, coming back into play, and how it'll go. Mata tweeting out Uber. Can't wait to watch the world watch him play. 10 kills a scrim. Amazing.
My homie sandbagging. I don't believe that for a second. He's definitely trying to lull their opponents into a false sense of security. I do think it's interesting. Like, Odorous's IGLing, I remember, was pretty notable back in the day. So, you know, it's worth bearing in mind now he is sort of relieved of that responsibility. Maybe he's involved in the mid-rounds, maybe like a secondary caller, which is really common for you know, a lot of players to pick that up and weigh in on some of those mid-round decisions here. But again, like, going up against a team that they are so familiar with, yeah, I mean, Moist X Shopify definitely have to show us something special. I'm glad we're showing Brock here. I don't know how we had this entire conversation without bringing this guy out. Absolutely dirty Sova player, ridiculously
perfectly
good.
timed.
I mean, yeah, he's such a good initiator. Again, like, anytime, I'm using Ascent as a classic example here. Like, the guy is such a solid anchor, really hard to shift. They do play a lot of, like, sometimes double Odin setups and try and crunch on that map, for example, and Brock's a huge component of that. So, I mean, I'm excited. Yeah, hopefully the Brocknagon doors get flung open wide today.
Yeah, I mean, you could certainly expect that. I mean, typically he was going, I mean, he would always go crazy when he was on Sova, and, you know, we're not seeing as much of the Sova right now, so we'll see how that adjusts to some of the other initiator agents that are a bit more common, like with Gecko seeing so much playtime at the moment. I don't really think he's played much of that, so it'll be interesting to see if he, you know, how he slots into some of those agents that are more potent in the current meta.
I'm just excited for this matchup in general because, of course, coming into Challengers for the 2024 season, it's been a little bit since we've seen these teams in Challengers, but of course with different looks and being able to keep up with what they've been up to in the off season, I think is actually really exciting, Uber, because we have so much on paper about these two teams already, and it's just what form they're going to be showing once we get into our Series 2. And with their maps too, this is something that we do even already have a little bit of an indication, a little bit of a peep into what these teams are thinking. Yeah,
I mean, you have enough time to work on a lot of stuff here, but okay, I'm not surprised to see Sunset banned out. I mean, Moist X Shopify got absolutely shellacked on that map, you know, going back to the Ludwig Tarek Invitational. In fact, both these teams banning out the maps that are problematic for them in their last series they played together. Ascent for Oxygen, they sort of get rid of that one, despite Redux being an absolute pain. They fell apart a little bit on that sort of attacking side here. So Lotus comes up first, Split, and then Bind is what is left available here. Split, that's an interesting one. These guys had a really compelling back and forth on that map in their last sort of head-to-head. Ended up being a 13-8 favoring Oxygen. I'm glad to see MXS are happy to run it back. And why, great point. You know, we are starting to see a little bit of a shift in how initiators are being used. Obviously, the changes to Sky, let's call them nerfs because that's what they are, haven't forced her out of the meta. But we're seeing a lot more Gecko. We're even seeing a bit more Fade, especially on maps like Lotus, right, where Gecko can so easily throw Dizzy up on defense side straight towards C-Long, get a ton of information there. There's a ton of ways defensively you can take control of that space and scale into it if you choose to, or just withhold information from attackers.
Yeah, previously both these teams on Lotus, they were running the Sky, but the Sky is really not as common on the map right now. It's, you know, it's still being played here and there, but the value has certainly diminished also along with the changes that came to the map. The flashes just aren't finding as much value as they used to, given a lot of the geometry, how C is laid out. It's just tough to actually connect big flashes onto players. Brock was playing that previously on the map. So that's, you know, a question mark. I would be surprised if we saw the exact same Lotus comps that we saw however many months ago. That was a month and a half in Ludwig Tarek, but we'll see.
I mean, knowing what we know of these teams and these players and kind of how the meta is developing with the Sky being pushed out just a little bit, what are we kind of expecting from these teams when we get to Lotus? Any thoughts in that big brain of yours?
That's definitely not a question for me. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, which big
no way
brain?
it could be.
You're
the one with the big brain, brother.
Is there someone else in the call?
It's not him,
Well,
so
brain extends into his jawline. You know what I mean?
Wait,
just like really really gets it out there. I mean, no, look, I have like the Fade Raise Gecko comps that we've seen from quite a few teams at sort of tier 1 lately. Obviously, like Fade Raise gives you some cute little combos you can do, like Seize Paint Shells is extremely troll. And obviously we talked a lot about how Gecko is very powerful, right? The ability to re-clear a lot of this stuff late in the round because your util is able to be refreshed. That's really important, especially when you're not trying to extend, you know, too aggressively as defenders. Viper's probably going to be involved, right? That lurk wall over towards the A side of the map, a lot of teams are making distinct use of. Vic used to do this nice little Viper wall sort of on defense from Hobbit that would sort of cut off C-Long, and he would snake bite that position so attackers couldn't actually rush in and take that space and overwhelm defenders. So that was one thing I really enjoyed watching from them back at the For Those Who Dare tournament. So that's kind of where I'm heading here. I don't know if we get the classic sort of Sky plus Raze sort of setup here. Expect a little bit more, and there's some Astra mixed in, right? You know, Scuba's an Astra player, has shown us that a few times on Lotus too.
Yeah, they did like running that Astra previously, which leads me to believe that at this point, given the standing of the meta, they'll probably lean into a Fade if they want to keep the Astra on that side. But you know, we shall see. A lot of this map, as you're saying, also always comes down to the Viper head-to-head, which Viper is going to be more effective at controlling a rubble, finding timings to create space for the team when they're working another side of the map to come back and re-hit A potentially. Moments like that where, you know, you have a nice head-to-head in Dapper versus Flya. Flya, a player that is proven his worth as a top contender to the extent that there were many reports of him being scouted, looked at, wanting to be picked up, teams in partnership wanting to pick him up this past season because he's proved all facets of his game are high quality enough that he deserves a spot there. And so certainly, you know, he also as the IGL is just such a crucial element to the success of Moist Shopify.
What does that speak to just like the confidence level with the team where, because the whole goal is to make it to Americas, make it to this tier 1. So if you have someone who's getting scouted and still sticking with this roster, that just makes me even more excited to see this team of 5 and what they're capable of this season. We know we've gotten to see a bit, but what they're kind of cooking up over, like, I think that just sets such an exciting precedent.
Yeah, absolutely, because there's opportunity costs involved in, you know, turning down some of these scouts from these big teams, but there's also a sense of having to start over again, you know, really build up something new with a completely new team. And chemistry is a really ethereal aspect of this game, and sometimes it's hard to capture, and there's no guarantee you're going to find that if you get picked up by a franchise team. So you might spend some time in franchising, but what if that team doesn't work out? You know, maybe you feel like you have a better chance staying together, playing for Ascension, and leveraging the chemistry you've actually worked on and invested in, much like G2 has as they've gone all the way through this process, this path to pro.
Well, especially too, because we got to see G2 previously, the guard, they worked as that core to make it through. But when we're looking at Moist Shopify, it is still like this merger of these two teams. It is still kind of these pieces coming together. It wasn't a team that's been long standing like the guard. So I feel like that's even more than why it just wow, like there is actually something special here. If players that haven't necessarily been playing the longest together, like, nope, this is the group. Like, I believe this is going to be as good as the guard. This is going to slaughter M80. Like, this is the Challengers winning team.
For sure. I think, again, this is going to go back to the narrative we were talking about earlier with Odors coming into the team and that late replacement of Thief after having stuck together all throughout the Challenger season, all the way through the off-season to the very last off-season event at Ludwig Tarek, and then making that roster move after is very significant. And it's going to be, I mean, that is the biggest question today.
They said they wanted someone with a different skill set too than Thief, which is, what does that even mean? What does that mean? That to me is like a kind of a mind blogger. Again, might be a bit of a PR answer, Wyatt, but when I saw that, I was like, yo, that doesn't tell me anything.
Yeah, I mean,
like, what different skill set?
You'd have to, at that point, right, you're just taking guesses as to what then that means in terms of the skills that we aren't seeing with our eyeballs in the server, because it's clearly not aim. it's not mechanics like that. You know, that's Thief is extremely good in those departments. So I suppose then, you know, maybe we're looking at communication. Maybe he's not the best with the comms. I don't know. You know, there's no point in really speculating, but it has to be something that we can't see just from watching, you know.
Hopefully we'll figure that out in the first series. There has to be something, right, Uber? But we're gonna peep at the players too going into this as they're all getting queued up. I know when we're looking, Uber, at kind of the history between these two teams playing in the off season, that it has been Oxygen Esports coming out on top. But do we think that's going to be kind of the way that it's going to fall in today's match with how much work they've both been putting in?
I don't think. Look, I'd be remiss if I felt that, like, you know, MXS were favored today. And that change, I think, of Thief out and Odorous in is a huge part of that, right? That doesn't mean Odorous can't hit the ground running, is very familiar with the protocols of this team, but I'm sure understands how to fill that position. But on paper, I don't think you can logically suggest that they're advantaged here, especially when they've been unfavored in the head-to-head a fair bit in the past. Whereas their opponents, yeah, okay. So even before they officially announced MXS, they were coming together. They mixed a bunch. They played together as well on a bunch of like Knights Gauntlets under the name Lobster Fishers. So they were, you know, even before this team came together, they were already putting in that time in and rotating, you know, a few players like Big Dog. You know, they always sort of knock around with that same kind of crew here. So, you know, and Dapper coming into a team, and Odorous to some less degree, but Dapper obviously understands how to fit in to a very rigid environment, playing on some of these, you know, top tier teams in the past. Players like that tend to hit the ground running much quicker because they really understand sort of what it takes to create a team dynamic and accelerate the build up of that chemistry. And they're grinding in the off season, right? Much like we saw from a lot of our T1 teams, like your Cloud9s of the world, right? That pays off. It genuinely pays off. You show a little bit of info about your team, but you get those very, very important reps.
I'm excited to see how that pays off. And we have our agent select ready, so we can start getting into our first match here, our very first best of 3 of Challengers. It's over to Lotus, and I'm going to toss this one back over to you guys. Have fun.
Thank you very much. We hope for a fade, and we get it. Wyatt Flyer going to be locking that one away. We have, crucially, no fade on the side of Oxygen here. Verno on that Killjoy, as we sort of discussed. And yeah, that Viper matchup. Why Otoshima? Odorous, can you just be serious? Just one time.
This is a new Odorous. This is not the Odorous that we've been speculating has joined this roster. It is a new man reborn. I'm surprised to see this Oxygen comp be oh so, you know, 2023. It's not. It is not giving the current meta. On the other hand, this moist Shopify comp is very much so the standard sort of meta comp that we've been seeing over the past week or so in Madrid. Even we've watched like KC Sentinels both running that, and so that's very much the comp of the moment.
And again, KC abused that a bunch against Fnatic in their matchup, where they were able to light up a lot of the players coming out of A on attack and just smash them with an Odin from inside inside to the door room. So keep an eye on that one here. But again, our El Clasico, everybody. That's right. 2 of arguably our best 3 teams in Challengers Americas now going head-to-head to start us off. You can thank the script writers for that one. There is no way this is random. Make no mistake. This is meant to happen.
You're absolutely correct. Let's see how Oxygen are going to begin to approach this attack here on the pistol. Last time these teams met up on this map, it was them who took an OT loss, actually, one of the close losses that they had in that offseason to Moist Shopify. And right now, it looks like they just want to go for some early C control, and they're watching for that A push on the opposite side.
Early paranoia from Vic on the A side here, trying to stop like a fast push. And even back that up with a cheeky little one-way here. So it's feeling like less and less of a great option for Oxygen. Flyer playing up close here. So again, this little cheeky combo, it's going to be the C's paint shells potentially. If Oxygen walk into this, Wyatt.
Yeah, Vic ready to swing off that as well. Dog is going to trigger this utility. There's the season. It is going to catch 2. Oh, is the nade enough to get a kill, though? It won't be. Vic going to try and pick this angle back up now as they create this crossfire.
We knocked up on Ruddle here. This could get nasty. Vic with a swing. 2 comfortable ones down. Just to reload, and the spike is already torn out of the hands of Oxygen.
Here.
The setup wasn't perfect. Sees paint shells, but you can see the idea. The paint shells just a little too deep. But hey, think of what they came for here in this first round.
It was nicely done by Moist Shopify, that little setup. There was counter utility as well from Oxygen that came out to push Vic off of that angle, which you saw, but able to pick it back up. The delay from those players just getting seized allowed him time to wait out that molly, get back in the crossfire position. Moist were just so ready for that. I mean, they had A control right off the jump. There was no pressure from the Oxygen side there.
Same again. Stops the fast push. This time without the paranoia thrown in there by Vic. Lean towards B here. Brook gonna now sit comfortably behind this wall. Doors open. Over towards C, where much of Brook's utility has already been put in place here. And looks like Odorous is happy to give it a bit of space.
More Shopify going to control the A side yet again. That deep positioning. And as is the standard in this current meta on round 2, you're just not going to be buying a damn thing. Because if the other team has an outlaw, you are just ruined for round 3.
Balls up. Vic finds one. Might have to abscond here. 9 HP decayed to 1, so he'll give this a little bit of room now. Some of this U2 coming out to try and force Martyr away. He acquiesces. Here comes that lurk, wall thrown up. And Oxygen are on the push in towards Tree here. Why able to catch one though very quickly. And Vic is holding his ground here. 40 HP in a dream, that's all he needs for 4. And a flawless round here for MXS as Oxygen again tried that A push, albeit a little bit later, and come up empty-handed.
And I shut down from more Shopify up 2-0 on one of the only couple maps that they've ever managed to beat Oxygen on in this past 7-8 months or so. 3 of the times they won, it was on Ascent, which is banned out. And so this is their real opportunity here to get a map on the board, and a series that usually ends in a 2-1 with their side with the 1.
2 rounds in a row, Wyatt, where Oxygen have been forced to push into one-ways. Both times over on the A side. Vic, it's all too easy. Sat there in Tree to take his brace of kills.
And they've lost that A control immediately again. They're just not fighting for it at all.
Double satchel. Redux using it to unseat the player. Sat by Waterfall. Access to the site now gained. Smoke on Waterfall to spam through. Redux is able to find 1 for free. The alarm bot and some of this KJ utility deployed by the attackers on the site. We have a plant down.
We'll see now if Oxygen opt to actually try and take any space on the site. Not super necessary in the 5-on-4 when you have this massive gun advantage, though.
Mitch here, spots player out, but they're able to take it. Scuba waiting, Paranoia now going to come through. Maybe a re-smoke there on towards Waterfall. Dapper holding the long angle and some stall here because of some of that KJ util. Boom buddy in, and now MXS starting to scale in. Smoke up on the site. This is going to create a heck of a lot of space for them to move in. Dapper would love to slow this up a little bit further. Redux using a shift. He knows Vic is probably in the smoke, and the spray is good for 2. It's Redux. 4 on the round, and Oxygen win that buy and keep 3 of those rifles into the next.
Nicely done from Oxygen. Getting into that C site, getting the spike down, easy. Winning post plants there, very difficult usually, but with that gun advantage, the way they played it was pretty nice. I'm concerned in the future. Well, not so much concerned, but I will be waiting to see in the future if they're going to press up and try to take more space the next time they plant on C when it is a full gun round, because that is crucial. Playing passive on that site makes it way too easy for retakers.
Maybe the reluctance because of the multiple players, playing Waterfall on the defender side. Oxygen worried about getting spammed down as they tried to scale properly into C. Poison orb here towards Rubble. Oh, Redux catching Vic on that swing here. And now it's just Marta forcing to tuck a little bit here, especially as Showstopper is employed. We'll be far enough away to avoid this now, and nobody from MXS wants to look in.
This was the first time Oxygen really fought for that A control, and they got it with relative ease. Going to get all the way into the site, plant down on the default box. Roberto set up to watch the flank, but everybody is really going to be coming from heaven here. All 4 players on more Shopify ready to spill out of there.
Oxygen again prevented to some degree from scaling as far as they'd like. Redux got stymied by the Prowler that was sent into the smoke. Another Prowler here. Redux hit by that one now. Here's the trades. Marta trying to play from that high ground. Mitch down to 21. Up the ladder we go. Ill-advised, perhaps, as Odorous is able to shut him down. Or even Stevens on numbers. And at some point, MXS have to run the gauntlet. Odorous here, eyes on stairs, but the action's in Tree. It's easy. Now the 1 versus 1. Give it a bit of a tickle, maybe take it to half. Scuba is on the push. Oh dear, what timing from Odorous. Filthy stuff. And a timely defuse here to take MXS to 3.
I suppose he's earned his keep on the team. Is it too early to dead the narrative, Mitch? I mean, that was a hell of a clutch. Time was so low, that didn't seem possible. I mean, Scuba could have wrapped around the site either way, but took that 50-50 clean shot to win it out. Oh my God, early on. All right, the doubters, mouths are silent right now.
The only purpose of the narrative is to buy time while we're getting the players into the game, so forget about it.
Right.
It's all good.
True.
Paranoia here, which obviously with those Seekers now coming online. Redux obviously with the satchels can make something of this Bucky play. Maybe clear this left corner. They opt not to, in fact, so Brock's going to stay tucked as that defensive Viper wall obscures Oxygen's path.
That C's timing was perfect. Shut the push down completely. Door open, which is going to force Odorous back. But at this point, I mean, look at the map. No control here for Oxygen, realistically. They've got some players over at C Mound, but look at the setup there. If they try to push into Odorous, they're going to get mollied off. The KJ util is there as well. Really tough start here for Oxygen. Dog expended as well. They're going to try and go into this C-hit. Odorous backside. Oh my God. The flying Bucky. I've seen all too much of that in Valorant recently. Omen get a TP in as well to claim some space. Wow, fast TP from Vic. Backside. Instant trade out from Verno. Nicely done. The frags are coming in quickly. The Fade ult expended as well for Brock to try and get some space. Overextends himself. Moist may have thrown a little bit too much into that pre-take. It's allowed Mitch a timing on the flank as well. Gets it with the stinger.
30 seconds left.
I cannot believe Oxygen have brought this one back.
Actually, why'd they get away with this? Mitch here going to run straight into Flyer and take that last gun away. That's filthy. Dapper comes into that round with nothing but a classic, if I'm not mistaken. Overheat there as well from Brock. Playing over on that seaside, hoping for some more, some more of that judge action. Great moment there from Redux as well, able to find some value with the Bucky. And have a look at this. OXG quickly snap back on a bit of a weak buy. And they're looking to extend that lead.
That was full on, 700-degree overheat. The Vic TP in back was crazy. The fact that he even got one was crazy. That was Moist doing way too much, and it breaks their economy completely.
There is Paint Chills come in. C's was there, but Redux is well ahead of it. Rubble revealing Flyer somehow. Mitch able to find that timing. That's a little bit of an odd one, to be sure. Again, the weapon really not favoring MXS in those face-offs. This Viper wall, of course, means there's little info to be garnered here. Is Vic tucks in by it, thinking he's at least good for one. We'll have a slow down here.
They've got that turret watching the flank. They've got that early pick. They know the Moist players are going to be rotating over here, so they're just going to wait things out, play the range with their superior guns, hope to bait out a peek as they have, and just slowly dwindle those numbers down until they get that round win.
Pull in for that need. They know. Gonna play a tuck there. That was Odorous. Redux. Here's that flash go off, so it's an easy pickup. And here it is. We are now with an even game after Oxygen with a ridiculous prior round. Able to take all those weapons in the next. Redux able to trade up that Stinger. And now they're at full power. Yeah, justifiably timeout here for MXS, because the start of this map, right? They're playing forward on A. They're getting a lot of value here. Those util combinations. They're struggling here with some of these swings off of Rubble, though, as a lot of value rather is being found early by Oxygen.
Oxygen have been doing a great job exposing A. Those first few rounds, they were just giving it up entirely, but Moist setup there hasn't actually been particularly effective outside of the pistol, where they had that seasonade combo. A combo they've been going for now a couple times, but you saw even on the previous, Vic wasn't able to get into a crossfire position off of that utility, so it's been a bit of a mess there. That wall drop at the beginning of the round, that was really off as well. That timing that just had Flya totally exposed. So they need a nice little adjustment there as far as the A side. I mean, also just funny to see Moist taking a timeout, speaking to their coach, who's not Odorous, who's now playing. They have their other coach, Mac, taking the timeout. Yeah. It is just it's a bit of a silly situation, but hopefully it'll work out for them on this round. We'll see how they actually approach A here. It is going to be the Fade and Raise again.
Operator in the hands of Mata. Hoping to handle some of the contact plays on that A side. Was the Odorous a ode to Kiyoshima? Now I appreciate that, as I've just recalled. That is dirty. Scuba gets in behind. Flash as well. That's going to create some space for him. Brock's in trouble. Overrun by Redux instantly. Oxygen all over this C site. And we said before, their issue was in the past not being able to scale into the site. Well, they have C and much more.
Explosive hit with that TP from Scuba just breaks Brock in half. He doesn't know where to look. He can't watch both places at once. Gets taken out. And I like that they've pushed up here. They've taken control of Waterfall. That's what you need to do in these post plants.
Little stagger there on the Trailblazer for Minch. Sufficient information gained, though, again, playing from behind these one-ways. Prowler. Boom, buddy. Redux going to give a bit of space here. Buys that time with the Pate Shells. Much of this utility is here to keep MXS at arm's length. Marno is starting to find some value with that operator, but it's a tough angle to play from here at Waterfall. Mitch is not inclined to peek into this. The onus on MXS to get in, and it looks like they're giving it up. A 3-gun save for the defenders.
My ult's ready.
Really flawless round from Oxygen from top to bottom. That exec was really cool with the Omen TP.
It was a
into
ranked
halls.
Omen TP.
I mean, absolutely. It just ruined Brock on the site. And then from there, post plant. That's exactly what I want to see from teams on a C post plant. You have to push up. They got an alarm bot deep in Waterfall, and then it was in halls where Redux actually pushed up after getting this kills, through that nade for further delay. That's what you need to do. Take that space, make them have to fight to get that space back before they're even to the site. It was really well played from them.
Oxygen timeout here. Maybe some discussion about how to play around A, the remaining operator, B, the Viper's Pit. Those two things definitely going to be a factor here. Previously, we saw that operator dragged over towards A, but as we knew, there was no action there. Marta still able to find his first couple of kills for the map with that weapon and maintained it into this round.
Marta was a player that, for a long time, I felt was lacking the consistency to his game. The explosivity, the mechanics, no doubt. You could never disparage those points on his game, but I don't think he was offering the consistency that a top-level duelist needed to, and I think he found that in this past year. So I'm going to be looking to him to, step it up here as he's got the op. He's always been just excellent on the Raze and the Jet, which is something you just need from every duelist at this stage in the game. They've got to be able to play both at a top level, and that is what he does. So, I mean, on the opposite end of Redux, obviously the exact same story.
All right, early util potential for Marta. Otherwise, one way indicating that you maybe play back on C, but Marta instead goes for it. Showstopper's out here as well. Flash comes in, no connection though with the rocket. But again, this creates so much pressure here over towards B. Now, Oxygen really trying to take it. Vic able to trade. Vic standing inside, and that is Swarm. No, and that's not what you want to see. The setup's good for Verno. Mitch forced away by the Prowler, though. MXS converging on this B site. An awkward post plant, to be sure. But crucially, Dapper wide out towards spawn here. May not be there in time if there comes a retake attempt.
He is going so slow, but as are Moist. If Brock wins this duel, all right, that should seal the deal. They need to get into the site now. They were waiting for that Haunt to get back up, but Dapper winning that duel actually in position. Could clutch this out. A late peek from Scuba. He was biding his time. It's dwindled so low, they haven't even gotten the spike to half. There's another Molly down. It's just over. They can't defuse. They took way too much time. They were trying to cycle for the Fade Haunt to come through, but guys, you're in a 4v3. You gotta just get in there and make some space.
It's so awkward. I mean, Odorous is trying to tickle the spike. He's holding on to an operator. He's not in a great position there to use the other player as bait. So he has to give it a tickle and hope to make something happen. And Dapper, yeah, sure, it was a slower rotate wire, but he gets there when it matters and also has that snakebite util to delay the spike defuse even further. Oxygen getting away with absolute bloody murder.
Vic getting those 2 kills as well was just so silly. I mean, just the run and gun, 1 HP dying in the Molly, and look at the economy now for more Shopify. It is not great. Sheriffs, Judge, 1 hero Vandal on Flya. This could be a point where Oxygen begin to run away with this game.
Oh, that's not ideal at all. Odorous hoping for something. A little bit of action there as he heads towards the mound. Verno, though, great little spray control. Still, Oxygen not trying to get ahead of themselves, though. They start to clear back of sight. When do they begin to scale here? Because always Vic is waiting for them in spawn.
I mean, just some more random spam kills through the wall. Sure, we'll take it. 5v3. they can just back up and chill. They really don't have to do anything extra here. I mean, if for some reason things get close, they have a lockdown, they have the Viper's Pit. They're just holding their positions, and it's just a wrap. Oxygen are looking really, really strong right now.
Yeah, Vic thinks twice about it here. No surprise. Takes Verno down to a paltry 4 points of health and plenty of U-kill expended by MXS, but eventually they had to start to find some of these kills. And I mean, Redux just decided to spam through smoke and then spam when fully flashed by their paranoia, able to find kills on both occasions.
Playing Lotus C in the current state of the map post the changes to that site is just riddled with landmines that I see teams walk into, and Oxygen have danced around them on all of these rounds perfectly. One of the crucial reasons that they're at 6 rounds at this point.
Operator again to hand for Mata. Has to hope to do a little bit more with it. But again, if Oxygen really don't put any pressure down on A, the whole value proposition of that pickup is nullified. It's a slower start for Oxygen because their Viper's Pit beckons here at C.
They're going to try to dog Odorous out of this pit. He's playing all the way on the edge, and it's going to be followed up by the showstopper as well. I mean, Odorous, he is all the way out of there. The site is going to be theirs. Paranoia coming through as well. Everything cleared out. How are they going to set up his post plant, though? Are they going to try to fight for some forward space? They are with the Viper's Pit. I love this decision.
They've scaled far more into this C side than they had prior, Wyatt. Redux, absolutely zero self-preservation instinct. Going to be a lockdown, though, from the defenders. This will require some converging to the edges. Both teams going to throw them down. This is about to get hairy. Mitchell gets detained. Redux, they better find Brock. Paint shells, find their mark here. And again, that smoke to keep the defenders back off the site. With 4 players, MXS have to make it happen. Mamata still carrying, lugging that operator into the fray here. It is a bloodbath. And not a good one if you're an MXS fan. Scuba comfortably sat here on the side, and Flyer says, yo, I am out. I'm so out.
This is just this is an absolute C-site masterclass right now. Genuinely. They have played all of these post plants beyond perfectly. That Viper's Pit to take all of that control into Waterfall and then getting their lockdown after, you know, placed after the retake lockdown, playing around the edges of the site to avoid the retake lockdown, and then getting set up on the crossfires for everyone. Oh my God, it's just immaculate gameplay right now from Oxygen. Genuinely so impressive on that round.
And have a look at this, right? So much of that action happening through smokes, but it's the little things, Wyatt, like you mentioned, maintaining that lockdown until later in the day. Verno, composure well beyond his years in that moment. Once again, just some lurk action for Dapper. More than happy to pull some defenders here to A-Log, except this might actually be the real deal from Oxygen.
Oof. Oh, what a tap from Mata. Just going to fall off of that as well. Vic playing up top. This is a good crossfire setup. They have 3 players here. Spam is almost good for another. Those are some weak players. Vic with the drop down. Not much damage needed to be done to clean up Redux. Just gonna swing for more. Go down to Verno. Guys, they're still fighting. Oh no, players are dropping. We're down into a 2-on-2. That could have been a serious advantage situation for Moist Shopify.
And there's no way for Moist to get any information about what's happening at A here. So they've managed to pull Odorous back in the direction of spawn at the very least. Brock has really not moved from this position for the entire half, whether it's a judge in hand or an actual weapon. This time a Bulldog. Tara does his job. Spots the interlopers trying to come through B main, and Verno wants to waste no time in setting up here. Managed to warm up towards Heaven. Scuba expecting this smoke to drop here and some action to come. Not quite at the same time, though. Now the 1 versus 1, and Odorous can't hang. Scuba finds another. And Oxygen actually almost trade down in that gunfight over at A. But a nice rotation. Both individuals holding it down.
Oh, this guy, Scuba, is just outrageous. He's another player, Mitch, who's been on the radar of Tier 1 teams for a long time. There's been reports of teams trying to sign him at various points, and things just didn't work out, and proving why. I mean, he's proved it a million times over, but this guy is just the real deal.
3-8 here. Still at least a cobbling together of weaponry for MXS, but it's been a soft half, that's for sure. Vic there tries to open the door and get the drop on Redux, but he was ready. Scuba Scuba again. Deep TP this time gets sniffed out, and so he is snuffed out. 4 versus 3, and Oxygen have the numbers here. Boom Buddy to check towards the bottom of pit there, and Redux is more than happy to clear that with the paint shells.
Dog going to re-clear as well. Mitch going to have to get out of the way. Most of these players are going to be off-site here for Oxygen. Not a lot of post-plant utility, but with that man advantage, it's just about playing proper crossfires here and trading out.
Awkward for Marta, the double swing, but Brock's at least able there to trade it. 2 players here for MXS. Sat together on this side. Odorous! A quick double, that's crucial. Now it's up to Dapper. Old hands, steady hands, they say. Not too shabby. Odorous falls. Brock knows exactly where he's saying it would be. But Dapper is in no hurry. Does he know he's on the spike? Okay, sees a glimpse of him from the right-hand side, realizes it might be half, and will have to go for it, but Brock! That's it. It's a round 1 knockout here, and now Brock's to go. Oh my God, 4 rounds at least for MXS. Get themselves a bit of something after a bit of a soft half.
I mean, those are the situations that you want Brock in. That man is a known clutcher, always has been for years now. I mean, all the way back to through the days on Ghost to Boy Shopify now. Those are the situations where that man will thrive. A round saved at the end. Oxygen, really impressive half though overall. Some of those, you know, late rounds, specifically that second to last one, bringing things back and that fight on Rubble, really nice. But again, I'm just going back to the C play here. What I was seeing there from Oxygen, their site execs and then namely their post plants, so well thought out, so well drilled.
Huge component of their success on the attacking side, to be sure. I'd see early paranoia here. Okay, Dapper trying to slow things down, but that's going to be a satchel that gets Redux past the snake bite. Marta's found one though, Redux. Cut down. And here they come. MXS, full cohort of 5 to make their way over towards tree here. Should be a smoke towards stairs to usher them forward, and a ghost to hand for Vic, but the swing is too quick for him. At least Odorous and Marta are there to trade it back, and it's just Verno. It's never just Verno. Now the 1 versus 3. Big ask for the youngster.
Spike planted.
Gonna slowly make his way through Rubble. The setup right now going to be very hard to crack as long as these players from Shopify play together, which is what they are doing. They're double stacked in tree, and you have Mata for that late pinch, if necessary, to come down the rope as the attention is drawn by the jump spot, just to avert his eyes to tree. I mean, this one's a wrap. They've just set this up too nicely. It's a 3v1. I mean, what more can you say?
There's more chalk than the barbell of the Olympia, mate. Forget about it.
Imagine if I died.
Give it a tickle, Verno, and be done with it. Okay, it's a great start here. Again, MXS know they have to play ahead of some of that early round util at A-Long, right? The satchel gets Marta ahead of that, allows him to sort of trade up on his opposite number Redux. Great opening, and then from there, it's pretty straightforward, right? Smoke towards stairs, get in, hit that side hard.
The only real wrench that could have been thrown in the works from the Oxygen side on defense was when they went for that triple swing to try and recover the round with Scuba popping out of that stairs smoke, and then, you know, you had Mitch and Dapper, I believe, swinging as well from sight, and that just got cleaned up. That was well traded out from Shopify. Great A-take.
Where are you?
Punch in, punch out. It's honest work over towards A again for MXS. This time, though, not looking to push that util and hope to draw some action. Beautiful lineup there for Marta. It's 2. Verno almost offering a 3rd, and Marta will probably take that by force at this point. And again, you better believe they're going to follow up this. Rest of MXS smoothly in behind Marta. Vic having to have the off angle here, and it's all just Scuba all alone again.
At least he'll get 1 for his TP. God knows he wants to use it. we all know he's gonna TP into spawn or something. So he's a little bit closer to that one.
He's been watching Tens lately, like, okay, hold my beer. This guy's making me look bad.
All right, no damage done. So we've got a pretty solid chance here for Shopify to go for an actual bonus round win. We'll see if they have some kind of nice, little maybe strat cooked up, maybe some kind of fast A hit on a crucial round like this to break the economy, get back in the game. The last time these two teams played on this map, it was a Moist Shopify win in OT 15-13. So wouldn't be surprised to see it go the distance again.
Scuba was set up there for a paranoia off the contact of his teammates over at A-Long. Instead, over to waterfall here, be very lightly held. Odorous, okay. Finding some success here. Aware now of Dapper being there, and my guy Okay, still crisp as you like after these years. Dapper falls to him. A is open, but that's not where the action's going to be. Only 2 here for Oxygen, and that lead very quickly starting to dwindle.
Oxygen players at this point just already have to save. Odorous already straight up won them around by clutching earlier, and I mean essentially straight up wins them around here again. Takes 2 1v1s on the Viper Lurk A, wins them both. The second one especially, that little jiggle with the tap onto Dapper, it doesn't get cleaner than that. I mean, you know, you're hoping maybe your Viper gets one nice little kill on the A watch there, trying to apply some pressure, but again, the doubters, Mitch. I don't hear them. I can't hear their voices. Where are they?
To be fair, that's like kind of what you expect, right? You expect maybe the 2 Vipers trying to both gain a bit of an info or an edge on each other on A. In a 1v2, you really don't expect Odorous to find any sort of success there. Just want to point out, Marta, who is at 10 kills for this scrim right now, more than happy to let everyone know that Odorous is, that's his sort of summon total at those 10 frags. Odorous has been really delivering here. That is just such huge value to find 2 kills on that little A-side lurk.
And risking it all on this round are Oxygen, as the game could be headed to a tie. Their entire economy is going to be on the line here. Mata has an ult to play with in this round as well, off all those eco kills earlier.
Big TP, standard stuff. Oh my goodness, Redux. I was really hoping to try and make something of that, but he's utterly shut down. On a man of the moment, it seems. Odorous adds yet another one to the tally. The rest of MXS, though, really compact here. Prowler into C.
I'm somewhat in a state of shock as to what we witnessed over at A. I'm trying to... It seemed like there was a piece of utility missing, perhaps, or I'm not sure entirely what was intended there. That was a bit strange. Might have to watch that one back. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. But I like what Moist have done here in the mid-round. They get that early pick A. They continue to watch it as they pressure over to C, keep those defenders spread, and now they're going to go retake A right now. All pop from Mata. Is he going to spot out Mitch? No, Mitch gets that first. Really nice kill. My God, almost lined a couple up as well, but options now for Moist. They could go for this A to B or just hit the A site straight up where Dapper has it all to do.
Dapper, though, blinded for the time being.
30 seconds left.
Notice that MXS did not use that Viper wall on their push in, so it wasn't nearly as telegraphed. Form did not spot the player tucked, but they found that kill anyway with the C's. All right, post plant now is MXS trying to filter back out through tree. This could be dangerous, but Verno's only good for 1. And now it's up to Scuba and Dapper to somehow clear tree and the rest. We have a double face here for MXS, but all the angle isn't there for Odorous. Still, again, good for that trade. Can he find more? You had better believe it. It's a 3K for Odorous.
He just swings it.
We are rolling back the years, baby.
He just swings it. Okay. All right. I mean, that is the confidence right there. That is confident energy when you're in the 2v1 post plant and you're swinging the guy. I mean, he's looking crisp, though. These taps, oh my God.
Just been informed we must call him Otoshima. Nothing else will be sufficient.
Yeah, this is not Odorous. This is a new man.
That's right.
This is a new man reborn.
It's a reinvention. All right, again, that early util. This time we see that early paranoia from Scuba. Tucked into Hobbit there. MXS happy to give that ground up. It's a lot of util to draw out of the defenders already.
Yeah, they make that bait play onto A, and look at the speed with which they're going to hit this C site now. Paranoia in, the Satchel, the Omen TP, all quite standard for this exec. But they're going to have these fast flankers to deal with through door, and I mean, who else would deal with it but the GOAT Otoshima?
Such a level of confidence here from Otoshima.
Planted. My ult is ready.
And again, now MXS are looking pretty comfortable here and will get ahead in round tally as Oxygen have had a disastrous defending side. A couple of gun rounds in there, they've all fallen apart quite often. Over on the A side, MXS showing us how they want to do this C side post plant. Viper wall expires, but Vic is there. Dapper ripped to pieces, and now it's just a double face back towards spawn, and Redux has got nowhere to go. A clean round indeed for MXS, dismantling that eco from Oxygen.
Flyer cleans up those last couple kills at the end, and it's him, the IGL, that has been calling these really nice attack side rotates for Moist right now. They have been keeping this Oxygen defensive side quite spread, making some hasty moves like that push through the door, which, listen, they're on an eco, they're going for an aggressive play. I'm not mad at it, but regardless, it is Moist who are just dragging them around the map, keeping, you know, them away from their intended site hit at the end. This has just been a really nicely called attack half from Flya so far. Both teams' attack, at least at the moment, looking significantly better than their defense.
And it seems as if for MXS, they're pretty comfortable like showing up on A long early, dealing with that util. No one's getting trapped. In fairness, like there isn't the fade to pair with the Ray, so Oxygen don't have a true trap play to put together on A. It's like, you know, dissuade them with the paranoia. Scuba throws in from Hobbit. Paint shells, of course, going to be there. You'll flash. Seems to take a little bit more than that. So MXS always come out of that early probe, you know, without losing a player, without taking a whole lot of damage, and still have the entire round before them to decide on where they hit. But again, pretty good fundamentals there. Just hit that seaside hub. That was, of course, an anti-eco. Let's see how it stacks up against another gun round attempt for Oxygen. I mean, this is an important round. Look at the money that MXS have built up. Oxygen have to start eating into this.
They're going to go for a big fight here with the Viper, the Raze. I mean, you're going to see a Viper Molly combo with paint shells more than likely. The nade back rubble in case of the someone TP'd or jumped across, which they did. All popped by Redux as well. Lovely satchel up. Great kill. 5v3 and retaining control of that A side. Should be wraps for this. I mean, it took them 4 players to do so. You can't really do that every round, but they picked their opportune moment for sure.
And again, Vic always trying to assume these off angles off the rip, right? Another TP to rubble there just to hope to at least have an edge. But as soon as he's spotted, the showstopper does its work. Oh, that's awkward. Scuba though. Yeah, getting tickled by that a little bit. Force the TP out. That's information for MXS. Down 2 players needing to make it work. Mitch for a bit of a top up, but the Sky herself still down to 35. A very beaten and broken MXS here.
If I'm on MXS right now, at the very least, let's go get some kills. I mean, their economy is terrible. There's no reason for them to save. They gotta, I mean, they have to go for it. At the very least, look, you know, Mitch is kind of weak. Maybe Brock takes him out here. This is going to matter. This damage is going to matter. I mean, it also matters at this point because they can still win the damn round. Not to get too ahead of myself.
One enemy remaining.
Okay. I mean, interesting there wasn't any trade architecture around that swing on B, as that was picked up for free, but still, Oxygen only lose Mitch in the end, despite their reluctance to trade for them. And that's crucial. An opportunity here to stabilize, and again, an opportunity to start to tax that economy of MXS, because a lot of flawless rounds, a lot of, you know, rounds where they've only lost that one gun. I like the Odin pickup here. Again, you can do a lot, of course, with that fade information. Can they make use of it?
Yeah, the Odin is absolutely busted on this map, and they're going to do it again. They have all 4 players on Oxygen ready to fight for Rubble, and there will be a clash here once again. We'll see if maybe Fly ends up popping this Fatal to counter it.
Okay. Broke with the spam. Not using a Horns or anything to try and give that extra info. Redux forced back here. So already MXS showing a little bit more poise as they head towards A, and Vic, of course, he gets ahead of the game as usual. Gets that door open. Prowler makes the space. Dog euthanized. And Vic here still has that paranoia to lean on. And again, this is map control being taken.
And because there wasn't a scrappy, close fight from Oxygen, they actually gave up the space. There was no reason for Flya to pop that Fade ultimate, so it is going to be saved here for the actual site exec. I like this space being taken from Oxygen, though. They are well aware that this entirety of Moist Shopify is over on the A side of the map. Interesting TP from Scuba to go all the way back and spawn.
He's trying to
get set up just in case. This is just in case someone works through B, I believe. Redux fighting on the flank though. Gonna get traded out. Weary of another player, and because of that, though, Redux going down, things are going to get scrappy for Oxygen. You can see them rotating all around the defensive side now, not set up for this hit.
Vic is not really in a great spot to give Mitch a ton of info. They were going to run down A either way, but it confirms at least that MXS have doubled back here. Now instead might consider going towards B. Opening door just to obscure their real movements. A Viper's Pit post-plant set up here on B. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Vic needs to hope not to get sprayed down, but about 10 seconds left in the round. We'll have a spike planted in a 3 versus 3.
Mitch, no dog, nothing to clear out this Viper's pit.
Hey, I got the dog in me.
Mitch Mitch, please. I'm talking. That is a Van Silly casting moment right there. As the Oxygen Mitch actually does clean up that one kill.
As opposed to the Oxygen
position from Vic. Right.
Yeah, okay. Just seeing what he can handle. Trying to throw you off a little bit there, baby. Oh, Verno, though, able to recover. For those that missed that post plant from their eyes rolling so far back in their head, they saw their skull.
Inventions.
Nicely done here for Oxygen making their way through. I'd tell you how it went down, but I was too busy trying to troll Wyatt.
Oh God! And I was too busy. I needed to take a sip of water after that and get my bearings. All right. Oh, and Moist have given me the opportunity. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. Thank you, Coach Mac. much appreciated.
Yeah, we can go back over this here, Wyatt. Of course, the transition to B, the post-plant Viper split didn't play out.
No, and it was that moment from Redux going down there. That seemed like it was going to be the pivotal moment for Moist Shopify to win that round out. It was a good effort, but it was really just, I mean, Mitch being able to get that first spam kill into B to get into that 3v2 when they're in the pit. They weren't really able to claim any great space off that. I mean, it was nice that Vic went heaven, but at that point it was, you know, a little bit too much. They're going to get pinched in from all sides.
Yeah, that's the risk, right? If you're all playing from inside the pit, you cannot scale further than that pit if you don't have information about what surrounds you. We know just B having 4 lanes of entry into seems awful risky to ever leave that zone. Leave you pretty spammable as it's a very tight area to play from. Still, it was like no time left in the round. It was definitely a plan B from MXS, but all the same, it doesn't pay off. And Oxygen now starting to build a bit of bank of their own here. Pretty crucial, finally getting themselves 2 rounds in a row for this half.
Redux has picked up that operator on defense, which he is lethal with, and more than that, fearless with. He will re-peek any angle, doesn't matter the utility, he will risk it, and he is lightning fast. So that is going to be a major worry here for Moist Shopify, and they're certainly not expecting it. Brock might just be caught here on the walk-up. Nope, Turret is going to come to that angle. Oh, but he still peeks it as well. Lovely opening.
Ultimately, yeah, he looks to take contact there. Great idea to get an operator in that position. Marta here. Satchel thrown. It's called a warning shot. As MXS by no means are committed here towards this C side, and it has drawn the Viper's pit out of Dapper at the least.
That is a very far back pit. So it's going to make Redux have to stay here in case of the walk-up, which is happening right now. They certainly are ready for the potential of this walk-up, though.
That Flyer's trained on that corner of the pit. Dapper obviously trying to play just at the corner of sight here. MXS rather, going to poke and prod, but none of that fade util really used to try and
30 seconds left.
garner info.
Satchel out.
Maybe planning a smoke here. Oh, interesting. Okay. Marta trying to make their way through. Some of that KJ util is set up on B here. MXS somehow going to make another play for B, but Werner's going to catch them here by a waterfall, and this is dangerous. You walk into the meat grinder now. MXS, even after a timeout, seem like they're struggling to come up the answer. Vic can only drag himself away. Hoping for a freebie, but worried about the potential for that wrap around. Wants to stay alive and maintain some weaponry. And looks like Oxygen will let him have it.
That was a crumbling of the game plan for Moist Shopify. Whatever they wanted to do out of that timeout got blown up by Dapper putting that pit down deep on C, which had them thinking, should we go for this walk-up and get into the pit? But they didn't commit to it. And then you could see what they were trying to do with Mata satcheling through Waterfall, trying to split some attention. Well, then it just puts him in a position where it's like, oh my God, am I going to get shot from the front or the back? And it was tough for the rest of the team to get a timing into B then, having to rotate off. The plan just went up in smoke completely.
Yeah, sometimes you want to bounce between the extremities, right? From C to A, but they didn't have enough time. MXS just overheating a little bit. On the macro side of things, being forced to get into a really suboptimal play on B. Prowler goes forward. All the buddies deployed now as there's a very lightly held side. It's just Dapper playing here from heaven. And very quickly, MXS can swarm.
Yeah, they've gotten that site for absolute free. We're going to see a massive retake from Oxygen. Key piece of utility is going to be Verno having that Killjoy ultimate. Going to back off and play his life just a little bit to make sure that they can get that down. Turret spotted and broken.
Brock might be set up here to try and spam down the lockdown. Yep. Oh, okay. Nicely done. Verno expects it. So he trades a lockdown for Brock at the very least. But that means now that flank pressure, that pincer pressure from A-Long isn't there. It's time to hit the side. Redux in, slamming through, and he finds one with the shorty. It's Victor fallen. Dapper and far behind. They trade the odorous kill. And Oxygen have done it yet again. A full retake on A. Love the little bait and switch with the lockdown. Verno happy to lose it for a free kill.
That was an explosive retake. That little lockdown bait was absolutely perfect. You called it. I mean, Brock was set up for that with the Odin, but they were, thinking ahead of Brock and you in that moment and me. I mean, they were so ready for that. That was really nicely done. And Redux, how does he get this kill? With the one shot with the shorty getting in and he's down to 1 HP. That is essential Redux magic if I've ever seen it.
That already looking pretty sharp, Redux here. Only just sort of picking up the operator and able to make it work when he needs to get up close and personal. Redux, wow, wide swing over towards Mound. Takes a licking there, able to just to get away. 10 health. But the Scalpel Martyr has to make him feel like it's worth it.
Again, just such... Okay, well, he gets caught eventually. He gets caught eventually. But still, that kind of peak, going that far up, going down to 10 HP, getting the kill, satcheling out, it's just so Redux. Good positioning from Odorous to pick up the flank.
No way!
Oh my God, he's able to get a second. These are the situations he's thriving in, just these little jiggle peaks, taking heads.
Fundamentals looking absolutely cracked right now. Like he never missed a beat. 2 up here for Oxygen. Dapper playing back towards spawn, and Scuba sat here on B, neither in great positions to mount a retake attempt. But again, it's not a stable economy for MXS. They can start to force them apart with some of this weaponry. They'll be happy with it. Dapper keeps coming forward. Plenty of money to play with. He's more than happy to trade his life out for another.
Last player standing.
Flyer, though, will shut that down. It's up to Scuba here with the paranoia, and we're out of there.
I'm chalking that up as a third round that Odorous straight up wins, by the way.
I'm cool with that.
If there is one big takeaway for me so far from this game, it's that he's definitely good. So far, so good for Odashima. Another flank 2K, just straight up winning back-to-back duels. You said that 1v2 clutch, 2 of those moments now. Topping the scoreboard for his team. Really great performance. And you can't ask for anything more than a Viper on Lotus. It's such an important role on this map, and he is playing it to a T.
Is it bro science to suggest that, again, with less pressure to call, Odorous is, or Odashima rather, as we have to call him that, has been unleashed?
Right. I don't think that's bro. I think that's real science.
Okay.
I think that's just true science. No bro science involved.
There's the one way here on Seed Long, and behind it, Oxygen have scaled. And they will leave the loose end of Redux behind to man the mound, as it were. Again, really light lurk here from Odashima on A side, hoping to drag some attention from Oxygen there.
And it looks like more Shopify. I don't know what they're going to try to do at this point. I'm going to be honest. So watching for these deep pushes, they have no control of the map right now. They are going to wait out that one-way smoke. All right, they're going to go for a bit of a re-clear on A with that Fade utility to try and drag a little bit of attention. But these C players haven't had to give up the positioning at all. A satchel up top from Mata. This looks like some serious indecision here from Moy Shopify.
It's a problem too. The defenders were playing ahead of that one-way on C Long. Able to catch MXS unaware, and that's because there's not a lot of info for the attackers. Still able to trade pretty well in that situation now. It's just Vic here at B, released in the immediate vicinity.
30 seconds left.
Mitch moves up to the side. TP's out of line of sight. And they're headed towards A. I like this. Bounce between those extremities. Dapper's able to find Flyer at the very least here, but Oxygen a little bit late on catching the memo here. They even up the numbers, but they're a long way away from the action, and Brock, he's broken.
Brock and Odashima in some cheeky kind of solo positions. Actually, they've got a bit of a crossfire here now for each other. This is a really nice setup. And lined up in the back, and even if somehow one of them traded, Odorous would have been on that swing, getting that trade. It's going to be Mitch in the 1v2. He's going to commit the Seekers to try and end this game.
Mitch has to go for it here. Vic sidesteps the spray. Mitch dives in. 7 bullets in a dream. He's got no choice but to try and go for it here. The money's good enough for a buy next round anyway, so in for a penny, in for a pound. Give it a tickle. Vic swings out and shuts that down awful quick. And yeah, MXS, a little slow. Not getting a ton of info on some of these extremities, but still making the correct decisions late in the round. The mid-rounding, albeit slow, has been effective.
Yeah, it was nicely done after that initial minute or so into the round. Things were getting worrying for me when they tried to go for that C reclear with just Mata satcheling up top. Felt a bit haphazard for sure, but a really nice recovery.
I'm feeling this. Our first game of Challengers Week 1, and we get this. A banger on Lotus. MXS 2 rounds in a row, just as Oxygen found their feet. Here's again that play towards A-Long.
Yeah.
Haunt catches nothing. But again, 3 defenders on this part of the map very quickly as Redux hastily wants to head elsewhere.
That dog is going to reclear all the way down towards A. Give Dapper that space. And you can see as well, Mitch is going to rotate off now. Go into B, into that link. As with Shopify, they're going to have to fight for some of this map control here. It looks like they want to do it towards C. Some Fade Util going to come out to reclear.
Bring them down.
Smoked off here. This smoke, though, really indicates a deeper presence on the C side for Oxygen, as opposed to like the one-way on top of where MXS are playing from. But again, it denies them info. They'll have to scale up and get it the old-fashioned way. 50 seconds in the round.
And at this point, Dapper has been steadfast, watching the door over on A. And look at this right now. You can see on the mini-map, Fly is going to rotate over towards A, throw a piece of utility, make a little bit of noise. Oh, wow, actually, the side hit is just going to come in, and he's watching that flank straight up. Scuba is going to be able to take down Mata right away, and they're stuck outside of the site with 30 seconds remaining.
The timing's so good. Mata gets hit with a paranoia as he tries to come in with the showstopper there. And that's a freebie. Dapper. Slow play really pays off now. And once more, MXS, they have to commit to the Crucible. There's no other choice. To the B side again. They shoulder the pickaxes and realize this is going to be the workday from hell. Verno brings them down from behind the wall, and that'll be that. Oxygen get away with it there. 13-11. A lot of pressure on them, though, in that second half. Wide, a very slow start for Oxygen, but they figure it out.
For me, the 2 big takeaways from total, one from each team, are as follows. Oxygen, I was really impressed with their macro play, especially on their attack side, and then late on defense, but really for me was on their attack. That is the biggest positive for me. And the biggest positive for Moist Shopify is that Odorous is definitely good. He is so far showed up, straight up won them 3 crucial rounds. One of them was that 1v2 clutch. Top frag, I think, at the end of it all for his team. Definitely showing why he is on the starting roster at this point. So for me, 2 big positives from either side, and in classic Oxygen Moist fashion, it is a 13-11 or an OT. It is just as close as it can get. That's how it is 90% of these of the time when these teams face off. So
2-1, and it's like an overtime potentially, or like, no worse than like a 13-9. Odorous, so unwashed, you can smell him for miles. He's looking extremely clean. I've got to say, though, providing a ton of value on those lurks, right? Dapper not taking a ton of risks. I guess the macro play is very tight for Oxygen. We often saw that. He really wouldn't push off that A-long, wouldn't push too deep at all there. But again, this has a choking effect for the defenders, right? They kind of end up funneling MXS to go for that B side over and over again. And neither team is going to have great success there. It's hard. It also was very hard for MXS to get information, or actually to really establish good map control in the second half of that attacker side.
At the end of that second half on attack, Moist definitely looked like they were struggling with their indecisiveness. There were several rounds there where things were taking way too long. On that last round, I was quite confused when I saw Flya, the Fade, before the site exec, running through spawn to A. And then as he was doing that, the exec came in, and I that was a little bit jarring, and then they had to fall off after there were moments like that towards the end where it felt to me like there was indecision and or miscommunication in what the idea with some of these site execs and the ways they were taking map control were going. It just seemed to, at the very end, devolve a little bit. But overall, it was still a strong showing from both sides, but Oxygen edged them out in the macro game.
Still, great start here for Oxygen. Still seeing MXS don't look like they've really skipped too much of a beat, right? So much of the narrative was how they would go with that roster change so recently. So stick around, everybody. Got much more coming from this series. Map number 2, Split, is on the other side of this break, so don't go too far.
I feel like we're more in shape here coming into this season compared to like off-season Oxygen. I mean, we were just trying out a whole bunch of things. We were getting dapper into the system. We were just, you know, going with the flow, trying to gain more experience. And I mean, winning all the tournaments that we won along the way is a nice bonus and nice reassurance. Our success is just keep moving forward. After every tournament, Bonk says the same thing the next day is, all right, guys, the win is nice, but we just got to keep moving forward. Yeah, a long time in esports, right? A year. So it's been great leading them and seeing them grow as a player and as a person. It's been fun, like watching them improve and getting to be a part of that. I'm pretty lucky, I feel like.
We did like pretty well in the Sentinels invitation. We did have a good chance of just winning the whole thing, but obviously we choked against Sentinels. It is what it is, but I feel like that definitely showed we have the ability to be tier 1. MXS, I mean, we've shown time and time again when it matters, we beat them. And we're over here sipping our coffee and we're chilling. Their coach can keep screaming at us from across the room and ruining his vocal cords. I'm sure that's fun when he wakes up in the morning and it's sores. In the Sentinels offseason, we would fall out of our like flow state mode and we would not be trusting strats, we would not be trusting ideas, we would not be committing. We know the game plan, we know everything we need to do. As long as we can do it and we do it very well, we'll be perfectly fine. I think we'll play completely flawless as long as we're in our flow state mode. I feel like we've had most potential. Me, Verno, Scuba. Scuba's like 20, Verno's 17, I'm 16. Dude, we all have pretty insane aim. And then we have the veterans. We have Dapper and Mitch. They know how it feels to compete and they have the experience and that's what they're bringing to us. That combination could have like some really deadly outputs. Rusted also is like extremely smart and he works with Bonker very well. And we have Coach Bonker. I've never seen someone more 500 IQ in my life. This guy actually thinks about the game. He's not a water boy coach. He's super grateful for that because I would not be the player I am today without him. Last year we were pretty garbage. Can't lie, we were pretty bad. Bro, we've been together for like a year. The core has been together for a year. I've been with him for like 9-10 months. And then Dapper's been with us 5 months now. Literally all it takes is time and effective practice and we will always just get better. But a lot of teams, they don't really have effective practice. But I think that's one edge we have, but where we have really good effective practice.
I think people should be noticing us by now that we're beating basically everybody we play against. This is the season that Oxygen is going to rise to the top.
face.